Once upon a cold November evening, a single dad named Ethan Carter hurried out of the small diner where he worked double shifts, rubbing his tired hands together as he checked his watch and prepared to pick up his 7-year-old daughter Lily from his neighbor's apartment. Ethan was exhausted, running on little sleep and a lot of responsibility, but one thing had caught his attention every night for almost 2 weeks, something he couldn't ignore anymore. Every time he closed up the diner, he would notice the same young girl sitting in a wheelchair near the alley behind the building, waiting silently in the cold. She couldn't have been older than 16. Wrapped in an oversized hoodie and thin blanket, she would always ask him softly, "Sir, do you have any leftovers today?" Her voice was gentle, her smile sincere, her politeness heartbreaking. At first Ethan thought she might be homeless, but she disappeared before he could ask anything. Tonight, as she appeared again with that same fragile smile, something inside him told him he needed to understand, truly understand, what was going on. So when she took the paper bag of leftovers and turned away, Ethan followed her quietly at a distance, pushing away every thought that told him he was too tired or too busy. He expected her to go to a shelter or a street corner. Instead, she rolled her wheelchair down a dim sidewalk, her hands slow and shaky on the wheels, turning again and again as though the cold was trying to stop her. Ethan's heart squeezed. She wasn't just poor, she was paralyzed from the waist down. He could see the stiffness in her posture, the effort in every small movement. She traveled nearly half a mile before turning into an abandoned construction site, and for a moment Ethan panicked, thinking she was going somewhere dangerous. But as he moved closer, he heard a sound, soft coughing, a child's cough. The girl wheeled herself behind a partially broken wall, and Ethan froze when he saw the truth. 2 small children were waiting for her, huddled together under a torn tarp. The moment they saw her, their faces lit up. "Did you get food, Mariam?" the little boy asked, his voice shaky from the cold. The girl, Mariam, smiled gently and placed the bag on their laps. "Only leftovers tonight," she whispered, brushing the boy's hair from his forehead, "but don't worry. Tomorrow I'll find more." Ethan felt his throat close. The girl wasn't begging for herself. She was feeding these children, 2 kids under 7, alone, freezing, and so thin that Ethan could see their bones through their clothes. He watched as she tore the bread into pieces, giving most of it to them. She lied to them gently, pretending she had eaten earlier. She hadn't. Ethan could see the hunger in her eyes, the way she swallowed hard as the children ate. She wasn't their sister, she was just another suffering soul trying to protect smaller suffering souls. Ethan stepped closer without even realizing. A piece of wood cracked under his shoe. Mariam instantly shielded the children with her body, fear flashing in her eyes until she recognized him. "I'm sorry," she whispered, trembling, "Please, please don't call anyone. I'll leave if you want. I just needed food for them. I didn't steal anything." Her voice broke, and Ethan's heart shattered. Hey, he said softly, raising both hands, "You're not in trouble. I didn't know. I didn't know you were helping kids." She looked down, ashamed. "They were left here 2 months ago," she whispered. "Their mom overdosed. No one came back. I found them crying one night when I was passing by, and I couldn't leave them." Ethan felt a wave of guilt crash over him. He had been complaining about long shifts and bills, about being a single dad and having no help, but here was a girl, paralyzed, starving, homeless, who still chose to take care of children who weren't even hers. "Why didn't you ask for help?" Ethan asked, his voice cracking. "People don't usually help girls like me," she said quietly. "They look at the wheelchair, the clothes, my situation, and they think I'm trouble. Or lying, or not worth their time. So, I just do what I can." Ethan couldn't speak. A part of him wanted to cry, another part wanted to pull all 3 of them into his arms. He thought about Lily, warm, safe, fed, sleeping in a real bed. Just 10 minutes ago, he was rushing to get home, thinking about homework and groceries. Now those thoughts felt small, almost insignificant. He stepped closer. "Mariam," he said gently, "they can't stay out here another night. It's freezing." She looked up, her eyes full of fear again. "They'll take them away," she whispered. "They'll separate them. They'll put them in foster homes where no one wants them. I promised I'd keep them together." Ethan knelt beside her. "And I promise," he said softly, "I'm not letting anything happen to any of you." She stared at him as though she had never heard those words before. Slowly, he lifted the 2 children, light as feathers from hunger, and helped Mariam onto the sidewalk. He called his neighbor, asking if she could watch Lily a little longer. Then he booked a motel room with the last $89 he had. He didn't care about the bills or tomorrow's worries. Tonight, these kids would sleep inside, warm and safe. Inside the small room, the children ate the warm meal he ordered, their faces glowing with gratitude. Mariam watched them silently, tears slipping down her cheeks. Ethan handed her a sandwich. She hesitated. "It's okay," he said. "You don't have to pretend you're not hungry." She broke down crying, not loud, not dramatic, just silent tears of someone who had been strong for too long. He sat beside her. "You've been fighting alone, he whispered, but you don't have to anymore. Over the next days, Ethan made phone calls, asked for favors, begged for information. He learned that Miriam had been paralyzed since a bus accident 2 years ago. Her parents had died months apart. She had been surviving on the streets ever since. The children, Noah and Ellie, had no relatives alive. Ethan contacted a local church group, a social worker he knew through Lily's school, and a nonprofit that helped homeless youth. For the first time in years, people stepped in. Not the government, not the system, just human beings choosing to care. Within a week, Miriam and the children were placed in temporary housing. The social worker asked Ethan if he would consider fostering the kids until they found a long-term plan. Before he could think, he said yes. Lily was thrilled. We have more family now, she asked excitedly. Ethan smiled. Yeah, sweetheart, we do. As for Miriam, she received medical care, physical therapy, and a wheelchair in good condition. When Ethan visited her one afternoon, she burst into tears again. Why? She asked. Why did you help me? Ethan looked at her gently. Because someone followed me once, he said. When I had nothing, when I was lost after Lily's mom died, someone stepped in and helped me get back up. I promised myself that when I saw someone who needed help the way I did, I'd show up. Miriam wiped her tears. But I'm nobody, she whispered. He shook his head. Nobody, he said softly. You saved 2 children while you were fighting your own battles. You gave away your food. You used your broken body to protect them. You're the kind of person this world needs more of. She looked down, overwhelmed. Thank you, she whispered. But Ethan wasn't done. With the help of the community, he arranged a small fundraiser for her medical needs. The story of the paralyzed girl who saved 2 abandoned children spread across town. Strangers donated, restaurants offered meals, a physical therapist volunteered sessions. A wheelchair-accessible apartment was secured for her, and Ethan helped her move in. On the day she received the keys, she held them tightly, trembling. I never thought I'd have a home again, she said in a choked voice. Ethan placed a hand on her shoulder. You do now. As months passed, Miriam regained a little mobility through therapy. She spent weekends with Ethan, Lily, Noah, and Ellie, her new family. She laughed again, she dreamed again, and one spring afternoon, as they all sat together under a blooming tree at the park, Lily climbed onto Miriam's lap and whispered, You saved them. Daddy says heroes don't always wear capes. Miriam's eyes filled with tears. I'm no hero, she whispered. Ethan shook his head. You're wrong, he said. You're the reason 3 lives changed for the better, including mine. And as the sun set that evening, painting the sky orange and gold, Miriam realized something she had forgotten long ago. Kindness was never small. It had the power to rebuild lives, heal wounds, and create families where none existed before. Ethan didn't just help her. She helped him too, reminding him that compassion wasn't about wealth or strength. It was about heart. It was about choosing to show up when it mattered. And so, the single dad who followed a paralyzed girl one cold night discovered a truth that changed everything. Sometimes the people we think need saving the most are the ones who end up saving us. And in that beautiful circle of kindness, they all found something they thought they lost forever: hope, home, and the quiet miracle of being seen.